Hi there. My name is Richard Marler, and welcome to my mediation and therapy practice. I thought I'd take a few moments to have a chat about the topics that need to be addressed when developing a parenting plan or preparing for a parenting mediation. The first is parental responsibility. Parents need to decide whether there is to be joint or sole decision making in relation to all or specified major long term decisions affecting the children. This can relate to issues such as education, health, religion, the child's name, changes to the child's living arrangements that make it significantly more difficult for them to spend time with a parent. These are all examples, but there are many more issues that extend beyond day to day care of children. So, the mechanism for making those decisions can be agreed between the parents and it can be flexible. It may be that all of them are joint or all of them are sole, or there may be a combination where some issues are jointly decided and other issues might be solely decided. Perhaps one parent will be responsible for education decisions and another parent may be responsible for health decisions. So parents need to be open minded and take a flexible approach to how this might best meet the needs of their child. The second issue is care arrangements. So that's deciding who a child lives with, whether care arrangements are to be equal or whether the care arrangements are to result in a child spending more time with one parent than another. There's no right or wrong answer here. There's no one size fits all. It really just depends on what is in a child's best interests in trying to work that out. Another issue is sleeping arrangements. That includes beds and bedrooms and whether bedrooms are to be shared with other children, perhaps in a blended family. Another issue is communication. How will the children communicate with their parents in the respective care of each parent? Also, how are the parents going to communicate with each other? Most parents tend to use some sort of video chat function to speak to their children. And how are the parents going to communicate with each other? Usually, if there's an emergency, there might be a phone call. And then otherwise, there might be the use of text or email, and there might be certain time frames around perhaps more urgent communications or decisions relating to the next week might need to be responded to within a few days, and other emails may not need to be responded to for at least 7 days. Those are some examples. Also, medical issues. What sort of arrangements are going to be put in place for children to see doctors and specialists? And how is decision making going to be made in terms of adopting recommendations of specialists? And if so, which ones? And if there's prescription of medication involved, how is that going to be decided and how is that going to be reviewed? Also, who's to care for the children in the case of an emergency? And how the parents going to notify each other in the case of an emergency. So these are some issues to consider. Also, what happens if a carer of the child is under a medical emergency? How's that going to be dealt with in terms of letting the other parent know or potentially allowing the other parent to provide care for a child if that's going to be practical? Another issue is safety concerns, such as travelling in motor vehicles with booster seats and the like. The use of devices, so the way in which children can use phones and tablets and computers, and how that changes in their bedrooms, and whether there's time limits, etc. What sort of schooling arrangements have been made for the children? What sort of extracurricular activities are to be agreed to in terms of sporting, music, dance, drama, etc. Also, what are holiday arrangements that will be put in place? And how are children to travel back and forth between respective homes? also needs to be considered. Also, special occasions such as Easter, Christmas, Mother's Day, Father's Day, children's birthdays, caregivers' birthdays. What arrangements are to be put in place? Will children spend time with each parent on these days? Or if not, will they be able to, or how will they be able to communicate with the other parent on such occasions? Passports and overseas travel can also be discussed in terms of whether the children can travel overseas, what safety precautions will be put in place in terms of not visiting dangerous parts of the world, and also who's going to hold the passports of the children. Another one is the introduction of other parental figures to children. So when parents start to date, how long is it going to be before they discuss this with their children? And how long will it be before they introduce the child to that person? So those sorts of things can be discussed as well. And as a general rule of thumb, it's usually 6 to 12 months before a parental figure would be introduced to a child. Finally, how are disputes going to be resolved? That can be included in a parenting plan in terms of attempting to negotiate and then perhaps considering some sort of maybe co-parenting counselling, and then perhaps a formal mediation process before escalating disagreements and conflict through to any kind of court procedure. So hopefully this has been helpful for parents in looking at the sorts of issues that they might want to consider in developing a parenting plan, and the issues that they need to be prepared to discuss when they're attending a parenting mediation.